Hello, good morning. It's coming up to 10 AM on Thursday the 13th of February and I've just ridden through the 2 tunnels cycleway for the first time since about mid-November. The reason for that is Devonshire Tunnel, the first of the 2 tunnels from where I live, the shorter of the 2, has been closed for repairs for about 3 months. It only just opened a couple of weeks ago, so this is my first chance to come out and ride it. And I'm just out the other side of Midford Station, Midford Viaduct. I'm going to have a breakfast on that table. I referred to it in my last video. I've got a titanium Bushbox stove, bought some wood out from home. I'm going to have a coffee and a bacon sandwich, and I'm going to tell you about my plans for my cycle tour for this year. It's a work in progress, but I'll give you the updates and give you the guts of the idea. And if you stick around to the end, I'll also tell you somebody I've just started following and why. Anyway, first up, I'm on my giant Tough Road SLR2 bike. It's modified pretty much how I want it. I'm just going to chop about an inch off each end of the handlebars, and then that'll be it exactly how I want it. Can you see I've taken the front rack off, and on the rear rack I've got my 2 front panniers. They're ideal, they fit on just for overnights, like in travel lodges, youth hostels, camping, that sort of thing. And I've literally bought the kitchen sink here today. I've got so much kit, it's unbelievable, just to do some cooking on that bench and to make sure I don't scorch it. So anyway, without further ado, let's get on with setting up the kitchen. So I spread everything out, brushed off most of the leaves off the table. I've bought my camping sit mat there, just a foldable foam pad. I bought a silver baking tray from home. We had chicken Kiev and that last night. Lots of silver paper there. That would just protect the wood there from burning. It shouldn't scorch, but that's kind of double, triple protection. There's the titanium Bushbox stove. I had a couple of logs left over from my last hot tent camping trip, so I just split those all up. I may have to batten some of that into smaller bits in a minute. I've got a knife for that. Frying pan, lighter, there's my knife, cooking kit, bacon, rolls, margarine, you get the idea, pots. So I'll just show you how this assembles. It's only a cheap one, so it comes in its little nylon stuff sack. So you've got 2 struts there, the fire plate, and here's the titanium parts for the stove. You can see there's 4, 3 similar and 1's open, so that's the front. Can you see these little wings there with slots and grooves in? You literally just build the stove up like this. There you go, straight away, look, there's 2 sides. It's very flimsy at this stage. There's the 3 sides. And can you see there's slots in there? Again, tongue and groove. And that's where the fireplate's going to go in. So that's side, back, side, front's open. And now you kind of get a little bit of structure here now. Can you see it's kind of formed a structure? Okay, I was saying it wasn't branded. It is Tom Shoe. And then the final plate just goes on like that. You've got to kind of manipulate and twist this into place. It feels like it doesn't want to go, but actually what you're doing is you're really reinforcing the structure. And there you go, it really is pretty solid now. And then just to brace it, you've got these 2 struts. Can you see there's a little slot in each? So they're going to go across like that. These serve a dual purpose. First of all, they brace it, and now it really is a very substantial structure. There's also the cooking service. Look, that's where the pot will go on. I looked these up the other day on the internet, and it's crazy. Some of them go for 120, 130 pounds. I mean, it's basically just 4 plates of titanium that's going to get scorched and marked, and I use it possibly once, twice a year maximum. Why on earth would I want to pay 120 pounds just for a brand name? As I said, this was about 20 pounds off eBay 4 or 5 years ago. So next thing, put that on top of its fire protection pad, and that should stop. You can see the fire plate itself is about almost an inch above the ground. That's really more to catch any ash that goes down. Most of the heat's going to be rising, isn't it, not going down, but that just helps stop scorch this bench. Just been and broke off a little bit of wood, which I hope is going to work as a mallet. I'm just going to batten some of these bits of wood down. I've put plenty of cardboard in there. I've actually got a couple of firelighter starters, but I do want a few small little bits of wood, thin wood, to get this going. Now, I chopped this up and sawed this at home yesterday. I've got my knife with me, so let's have a go at battening some of this across the grain. And then this last bit, probably just do that by hand. Yeah, there you go. Few little very small bits of kindling to get that going. Bought my trusty fire lighting kit out from Bath. I'm not going to use the fire steel to get this going. Just going to use one of these extended lighter tubes. Pack the inside with cardboard. That's going quite nicely. These are just compressed woodwork shavings from a woodwork shop. They're compressed together with wax, so it really is recycling. Get that in there and then start putting some of those thin bits of kindling across. Let's have a quick look inside. Can you see? Just those few small bits are really helping to get it going. I've got plenty of cardboard if it does die out. So I've tried to chop all these bits of wood down at home. I split them with the axe in my backyard and then sawed each section into 3, just because I wanted to feed them in through the front like that. And then the other bits are much bigger like this. Got plenty of it. Just give that a minute or so to start taking. Okay, that's going quite nicely. Just moved it into the middle of the table. Can feed it in from the top at this stage, but most of it, once it gets going, to be going in through there, the front door. Cooking directly over flames like this will blacken your pots, so my frying pan, I'm perfectly happy with that. That's so old. I'm happy to take that home and scrape it down with a Brillo pad. But I've also got this Vango pot, which I never use actually solo normally because it's far too big for me, but that's an ideal one. I don't mind if that gets a bit burnt on the bottom. You may see inside I've got some ketchups, rubbish bag, tea towel, my collapsible cup for coffee, and a sponge for washing out. First things first, I think, is get some hot water on for coffee. And then we'll just put the pot on there to get some water on. Can you see the flames are creeping up round the bottom of the pan? That's almost inevitable in these, and it could well burn some of that plastic there. This is a pan I'm happy to trash, to be honest, just use it for this Bushbox wood burning. I've said this before, I'm a bit fanatical about food hygiene. I've cleaned my hands, the water's almost boiling, made up my first coffee, and I think I'm going to start getting the bacon ready to go on. So I've got one of these olive oils in a spray. Once that runs out, I just fill it with vegetable oil, but I never use that for more than about 10 trips, otherwise it starts getting unhygienic. So hopefully that's going to spray a lot of olive oil in there. Here we go. Gosh, that's very white, isn't it? As I say, once that runs out, or if I haven't used it within about 6 months, I'll just pour it away and then wash it out, and then each time I go, I'll just fill it up with vegetable oil till about there. My water's boiling, time for coffee. Water's just off the boil, going to pour my first coffee. Try not to flood the bench. There we go. There's still plenty in the pan for a second. Probably won't want more than that. Right, let's start getting the bacon prepared. The oil's starting to sizzle. There you go. Start turning it over. And again, really need to wash my hands now thoroughly, because I'm about to butter some bread rolls. I've buttered my rolls, got some ketchups as you can see, courtesy of Wetherspoons I think, or Subway. Okay, I'm ready to dish up. Round one. Can you see the fire's really burnt up again? I'll let that die down a little bit. I don't want to be cooking while I'm eating. And some ketchup. I think I only need one. There we go, one bacon bap and a nice bit of heat coming off the burner. Right, I'm going to demolish this and then I'll start the next one. That first of the two bacon rolls was absolutely delicious, it really was. I've just stoked up the fire to get it really going. Just enjoying my coffee before I start cooking the second roll. I think it's time to start cooking the second batch of bacon. I've prepared the bap ready, got the ketchup there, part way through my coffee. The sound and the smell, absolutely wonderful. And here we are, round two ready. And some more water on for possibly another cup of coffee, but also for the washing up. This is so nice eating outdoors as well. Anything you make an effort to make, I think, it's called the IKEA effect. This is much nicer preparing this, bringing it all out, cooking it and eating it outdoors than it would be just putting up in a lay-by and buying it ready made for you. There we are, second bacon bap, and the hot water's on, ready for the washing up and possibly another cup of coffee. Bon appetit. Okay, I've finished my second bacon roll. I'm just starting my second cup of coffee here, and you see I've stoked the fire up really just to burn all the wood off. It'll take about half an hour for it to cool down, then I can dismantle it and clear it up and scatter all the ashes in and kick it in. I said to you I'll tell you about my plans for my summer cycle tour. For long-term subscribers, you may remember I'm partway through a 5-year project to visit all of England and Wales thankful villages. For new subscribers, a thankful village then is a village where every single person, man and woman, returned home safely alive after the First World War. Currently there are 57 known thankful villages in the UK, England and Wales. Sadly Scotland and Ireland don't have any yet. The list is changing all the time. So the map I normally use is very, very concise, I think, but it's not an up-to-date one. You'll notice there's only 54 on there. The last few years I've been grouping up little clusters and actually forming corridors or squares. I mean, 2 years ago I rode from my hometown in Bath up to York, and I followed this kind of corridor heading up to York. And last year I visited all the northern ones north of York, and that was kind of in a big square. So this year I'm heading over from my hometown of Bath to Great Yarmouth in East Anglia. And I'm going to visit on the other side of Oxford onwards 6 thankful villages. I've got some notes here, so I need to read off them. This year's tour then, it's going to be in June, and I'll start off riding from my hometown of Bath over to Great Yarmouth in East Anglia. I've got a travel lodge booked for the final night, and then I'll get a train home via London, I think, back to Bath. So the total trip will be 305 miles, and I'll be visiting 6 thankful villages. They're in a kind of rectangle shape, just the other side, the east side of Oxford, and that'll stretch over just near Ipswich. After I've visited the last of the 6 thankful villages, I'm just going to carry on to the coast because I love that side of the country, then just do some coastal riding, maybe some beach camping on my way up to Great Yarmouth. Booked in the travel lodge for the final night. I eventually got one for £35. It's a Sunday night, that's why it's so cheap. Then get the train home on the Monday. The 6 thankful villages are then, they start soon after Oxford. It'll probably be day 2. They are Puttenham, Stoke Hammond, Tuft, Strethall and Culpho, Culpho, I think that's how you pronounce it. And then the final one, St Michael, St Elmham. And then I'll carry on to the coast and make my way up to Great Yarmouth. But before I get to the first of the 6 thankful villages, after I've spent the first night camping near Oxford, I'm going to visit a little bit of Yorkshire. That doesn't sound quite right, does it? One of my favourite films is based around 2 World War I veterans who come together in 1922 in a church in a churchyard, and so it links in with my interest in churches and history. They're both World War I veterans, and they're both traumatised in their own kind of way, and it's a wonderful film. It stars a very young Colin Firth and a very young Kenneth Branagh. It's filmed in a fictional Yorkshire village of Oxgodby. Most of the church and the churchyard films, in other words the crux of the story, is actually filmed in Buckinghamshire at a village called Radnage. In fact, the church is called St Mary's Church. And I believe the reason for that was they had a month to film, and although it looks a very summery, idyllic summer film, weather played an important part. They had to do those shots in between lots of rain. It's hard to believe when you watch the film. By all accounts, the rain almost ruined their filming schedule, and also Kenneth Branagh was only available for a fortnight, and he was also on stage every night in London, so I guess that's why they had to use somewhere within commuting distance of London. So there's a little bit of Yorkshire in Buckinghamshire, and it just so happens it's just slightly off the route I was going to ride, so I've just tweaked the route a little bit. I've added on less than 20 miles, so I'll be going to Oxgodby, better known as Radnage in Buckinghamshire, and I really want to go and have a look at St Mary's Church. So I'll be starting off in Bath, camping most nights. I'm going to try my best to stay in small commercial campsites. Whether it works or not, I don't know, but the first night I'm heading for one on the outskirts of Oxford. The tour itself will actually start really on day 2. So the first day is a prologue, really, just up to the outskirts of Oxford. Last bit of wood on the stove. And then I did say I was probably going to have to avoid a travel lodge because the prices were in there £90, and I looked at a Premier Inn, that's £123, because it's a resort in summer. I just so happened to find a Sunday night for £35, so I went ahead and booked it. So I know what night I'm finishing, and I know what day I'll have to get the train back, but so far only the travel lodge is booked. I haven't even worked out what day I'm going to start yet, but it's easy to work backwards. And at the moment the train fare, including my senior rail card, which gives me 33% discount, is about £90, but I know if you wait until about 12 weeks before the journey, all the cheap tickets start coming available. And the great thing with the Trainline app is you can actually ask them to text you when they become available. Before my summer holiday in June, I'm going to do a small camping trip along the course of this railway, actually, the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway, which ran from Bath Green Park, about a mile from where I live, down to Bournemouth West. And I'm going to follow the course of the railway. Quite a bit of it, like here, you can actually ride along the old track bed, but where you can't, you can quite often ride alongside it and see the course of it. It's a wonderful route, and although it hasn't been a railway line for 50 odd years, the countryside's still there, and what enchanted a lot of people, the scenery is still there. So it's in kind of three phases really. You've got this section out of Bath up over to Shepton Mallet, crossing the Mendips. Then you have a very flat section, the Blackmore Vale, and then the final section you go through the Stour Valley. And I often used to think, why do more people not come here? Because it's an absolutely wonderful place for touring. And then thirdly on this video, I said I've started following someone recently. Jez, a subscriber, hello mate. We've met a couple of times on the Jack and Grace, lovely guy. He just made me aware that a lady called Sophia is actually going for a Super Randonneur around the year series. To the best of my knowledge, I'm the first and the only person who's done it yet, so I'm very, very intrigued by somebody else doing it. And he told me where to find details. It is on the Audax UK Facebook page. And so I just read through her post, and then I read some of the comments and her responses to it, and I straight away realised I liked her motivation, and so I've been following her actually. So Jez made me aware of it. He told her about me, so she's aware of me. So she started in January. She's on her second month. In fact, I saw this morning she just finished her 600 for February, so I'm really, really intrigued by her progress. So I followed her on Strava, and I'll be keeping up to date with her progress on the Audax Facebook page. I'm sure she's going to succeed. I just hope she enjoys it as much as I did. From reading her posts, I think she is. So I'm not going to say any details. If you're a member of Audax UK, you just go onto their Facebook page and scroll down half a dozen posts or so, and you'll start coming across her. You can see the wood's almost burnt out from the stove. Just stoking it a bit with this twig. And there's all my washing up done. That was really nice. An old mate of mine from Summer Valley, Keith, bumped into. Had a good old chinwag. So that section of the route is closed temporarily. They've just opened that section to close that section. That's closed for a month to improve the surface. So he just came down the deviation, the detour, and we had a good old chinwag here. So if you're watching this, Keith, nice to bump into you. In fact, it's allowed the stove to really cool down. Can you see how much ash is in there? I'm just going to give that a wipe down in there, then scatter it over there, take all my rubbish home. Obviously that's all I'll be leaving. I've dug a little trench there, and I've got the washing up water to really wash it in, and then I'll just scuff it all in. There's the Tom Shoe titanium Bushbox stove, all dismantled, cleaned up, ready to pack away. Just going to scatter all the ashes. You can see there's not actually that many of them. Dug a little trench there. All my own rubbish I'll be taking home. Scatter that all in. It's a bit like that scene off The Great Escape, isn't it? Where they let all the dirt out from under their trousers. There's that. And then I've got all this washing up water. Overkill, but you might as well use it. And then just pick all the leaves back. Okay, it's almost time to pack up and go. It's been great bumping into Keith, actually. They're having a good old chinwag. Almost ready to pack up and go. Tidied up. So there's the inner bag for one of my panniers, and then the other one, and then that's all the rubbish bag. I'll tie that up and take it home with me. I'm all packed away. Everything's bagged up back in my panniers, including all my rubbish. I've left this place better than when I came, actually, because I've picked up a little bit of other people's rubbish as well. My next video will hopefully be sometime next week. I'm going to continue my winter project, visiting all the Churches Conservation Trust properties in the historic county of Gloucestershire. I'm going to catch a train up to Gloucester early one morning, and then do a loop around 4 churches, I think it is, up that way, and then make my way back to Cheltenham and get the train home from Cheltenham in the evening. I'll probably wait until after rush hour, so I may get a meal in Cheltenham. I'll kind of play it by ear, and that's hopefully going to be my next video. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Coming along my bacon sandwich at this lovely picnic site on the old Somerset and Dorset Railway, just past Midford Station. and sharing my plans with you about my summer cycle tour, and then a little lead up to that, following the course of this old railway from Bath Green Park down to Bournemouth, and also about the second person who's going for a super rounder around the year. I'll certainly be following her progress. Why not check it out yourself? Anyway, until next time, thanks so much for watching. See you soon.